Hello and welcome to the third episode of Vector Gardens. In this video I start the whole entry plaza, like the security, the bathrooms, the uh, ticket sales before you actually get into the park. That's what I make this episode. So if you just want to skip to the showcase portion of this video, skip to the timestamp on screen. But anyways, back to the video. Starting off, I'm redoing these kind of edge planters for the accessibility parking spots. Like I said last video, this is my first parking lot I've ever done. Definitely not going to get all of it right. And maybe this isn't even right what I'm changing here, but whatever. I don't think I'm going to touch the parking lot, at least for quite a few episodes after this. I'll save it for later on in the series when I go back through everything and add a couple of details that I missed. But as you can see, I am in love with this pathing tool. It works insanely well, especially now that I've had a lot of time to figure out how everything works. I absolutely love it. It's genuinely such a huge improvement from the old one. It is so nice. Only thing I've heard that kind of sucks about it is the you cannot make squared off edges for queue lines easily anymore. At least that's what I've heard. This was once again 5 hours of recording. I don't know how I'm not getting more done in 5 hours. I might need to start doing 6 hours of recording because I was hoping to be honestly kind of just into the park, like well into the entrance of the entire park by the end of this video. But I sadly don't even start on like the turnstiles or anything like that. All I do is just the plaza before you actually get into the park. One benefit of taking my time though is everything comes out basically exactly how I wanted it to in this video. Actually, just in general, it's just how I wanted everything to look. This entry plaza, as well as basically everything else, is heavily inspired by SeaWorld Orlando. As I said a lot in the last video, this is my first time ever doing a parking lot. If you see anything that's like isn't realistic or shouldn't be there, please let me know. I will change it next episode. So here I just struggle a bunch trying to get the paths to look how I want them to look. But the issue here was I didn't know how I wanted them to look, so I just kind of struggled for a few minutes. Moving away from talking about my park for a second, I wanted to talk about the Frontier Unlocked live stream, where they kind of show off future updates of this game and other Frontier games. But this last one was particularly like Planet Coaster 2 heavy, and they showed so many new features. Well, not even really features, but just new stuff for this game. Like we're getting the Wild West theme from Planet Coaster 1 into this game, which is such a huge update, especially for this park, because I'll definitely have a Wild West section for it. They showed the new water slides a bit more in depth, which look incredible. They showed unthemed Kingda Ka trains as well as unthemed new gen Vekoma trains, which I predicted in my last video. Something I also said about those in my last video was imagine if they do come out with the unthemed Vekoma trains, but they still limit it to only being 2 cars long, and that actually might be the reality. They haven't confirmed if the trains will be longer, to my knowledge, so I'm just going to take that as they're going to keep them limited to only 2 cars long, which I find hilarious. I hope that they don't, obviously, but if they do, like I said, that'd be pretty funny. Unrelated to what I was just talking about, but right now I'm making the metal detectors for the security of my park. It's a very simple design, but it works. Anyways, though, back to what I was saying about the Planet Coaster 2 updates. We're getting the Vekoma SLC back, which some people are happy for. I could not care less that it was gone. I sure hope we get the Vekoma STC, though, in the future. That would be such a welcome addition. And just in general, every single update we've gotten has been a huge step forward for this game. They really are fixing so many issues that so many people had. And they are sticking to their word on a bunch of stuff, which honestly I feel like is kind of rare in the game industry nowadays. And it's very great to see. Now back to the park. These are the metal detectors and like little tables that you put your like phone and stuff on. The parks, like every park has a different way of doing metal detection and stuff like that. So I basically just did what like the fun spot parks do and put it on a bigger scale. I probably could have actually put more detail in some of these, like, metal detectors and stuff like that. Once again, probably something I will come back to near the end of this series. I also don't know how many metal detectors you're supposed to have. I've seen some parks with like 100, and then some like big parks like SeaWorld Orlando I think has one. So I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to do, so I just ended up doing quite a few of them, but I only have like one or two open, which is what I see at Epcot a lot. So yeah, the parking lot is kind of SeaWorld Orlando Epcot inspired. The security is more Epcot inspired. And then the actual entry plaza of like everything is Cedar Point inspired. And I honestly feel like a lot of this park will be Cedar Point inspired because, I mean, how could you not? It's like the coolest place ever. I had a lot of trouble trying to figure out how to make the transition between brick path to this like concrete path, which I end up just giving up on for now. I just don't want the brick path to go all the way to the entrance of the park. Now I realize that I actually need to leave some space for an exit for the guests. I also didn't really know what to do here, so I just kind of copied SeaWorld. Also, I went to Universal's Islands of Adventure for the first time in like 2 years or something recently, which now I really want to make a Velocicoaster ripoff of some kind. I don't know if I'll do that in this park or if I'll do that um, like as its own separate project, but man, that ride's incredible. I don't think I'll have one in this park because I kind of had something similar in my last park, and I don't think I'm going to build any Intamins in this park. I think I'm going to have it entirely mock coasters, Vekoma coasters, and maybe like I don't know one or two other manufacturers. I know I want to put a striker in this park, but I don't think I'm going to actually do that unless they release a like official um, mock striker coaster model. Because like the custom trains with like the scenery pieces and stuff look pretty good for the mock striker, but just not good enough if I'm honest. An official model would be a huge improvement. Now I'm starting on adding supports to this kind of canopy that goes over the security checks and stuff. Very simple, but I think it gets the job done. Now these are just the little bolts that connect the canopies to the ground. It's a very simple design, but like I said, I think it works well. Now this is just copying it all over, which I probably should not have made the roofs first and then tried to copy all the supports under it. I should have probably just done it as one full thing, but I did not do that. Now I am copying it over to the other side of like the security, metal detectors stuff. Fairly simple stuff. Now here I start on the little bus drop off and pickup area. I actually don't know if it would work as a pickup area, but whatever. Just a little bit of extra detail. And I want to fill up the parking lot with cars, but there's no good like pre-made cars in this game, and I don't know if I want to copy and paste 1,000 like custom-made cars that each have a few hundred pieces, because I feel like that would just lag everyone's game and it would be kind of unnecessary. So let me know what you think about that. Here, as you can see, I'm making a little canopy for the bus stop, which I tried to use the SeaWorld Orlando one as reference, but the one there is like a really crappy, just like umbrella. So maybe either the SeaWorld Orlando one is crappy or this one that I'm making is extremely overkill. It's one of the two options. I'm trying to make these little crossbars because I think it looks a bit too plain without them. But like I said, what these look like in real life is legitimately just a umbrella, so maybe I shouldn't care too much. So here I put the little connections to the ground, and then I start copying the whole thing over. I'm definitely going to have a coaster kind of interact with this whole front entrance plaza in some way. Not like Gatekeeper, I'm thinking more Goliath, but maybe I'll have multiple different coasters do it. I was thinking like maybe a mock hyper that would kind of spend most of its time going back behind the parking lot, and then the ending of it would go over the like entrance plaza. Don't know if I'll actually do that though, but I definitely want to make a mock hyper in this park. Maybe I'll have it be a launch coaster. I don't know. I'm definitely not going to put a coaster like actually do an inversion over the entrance because I did that in the last park. And also, this entrance is going to be very unconventional, so that wouldn't really work either way. You'll see what I mean next episode, hopefully. But here you can see I'm adding an extra umbrella to kind of give shade to the accessibility area for the security checks. And here we begin again on trying to make the path change texture without it looking super ugly. Oh, and also me trying to bring the path back down to the terrain level because I raised it up ever so slightly to give a little curb between the road and the sidewalk. But I don't need to do that anymore because there's no more road. I also began thinking of how to make this plaza actually look like a normal plaza. Once again, like I said, it's mostly going to be inspired by Cedar Points. Oh, and here's third time's the charm trying to change the texture of the path. It comes out alright though. But yeah, back to what I was saying. The plaza for this entrance is very Cedar Point inspired. I also kind of like the idea of like Knott's Berry Farms Silver Bullet Cobra roll over the entrance. I think that looks really awesome. So I have a bunch of options for what I can do for this entry plaza. I get most of the boring stuff out of the way in this video, like the bathrooms and the ticket booth area. But here's actually a not boring thing for once. The actual place where the sign for the park is. Once again, very Cedar Point inspired. Like this shape in the path is, I'm pretty sure, the exact same as the one at Cedar Point, but it's not going to be the same looking sign, but yeah, just same idea. The sign itself is inspired by TPW's Coniston Heights Park that he's making. His sign and just whole park in general, to be honest, looked very aesthetically pleasing. So yeah, I also ended up redoing a little bit of the sign on the parking tolls a little bit too. But yeah, back to the actual sign of the park. Very small, very simple. I might eventually change it to something maybe more Cedar Point inspired. Because, I mean, you can't really get any better than Cedar Points. I did not really know if I wanted a planter or a fence. I ended up going with the fence, which by extension of the pathing system, the fencing system in this game for paths is also greatly improved. Being able to put the fence on one side of the path and the other side, it's like so incredibly helpful. Now for some greenery around the actual sign. Once again, like these bushes are so incredible compared to the ones we had in the original game. There's just so many little things that this game has improved on, and it is so helpful. I have very little practice using bushes to make things look aesthetically pleasing. Basically, 100% of the time I used to use bushes was just making like nature and stuff. But I'm decently happy with how this little, I don't even know what you call these, but like the place around the entrance sign, I'm pretty happy with how it comes out. It's pretty simple, but not too much you could really do here. I end up putting flowers behind the sign, but now that I'm thinking about it, I should probably put some flowers in front of the sign as well. Also, something else that I'm just now thinking of is I should probably make the actual sign bigger. Not much bigger, but it looks a little too small. Here's yet another incredible new bush. I don't know if these are actually new for this game. They might just be new for a Planet Coaster game because I'm pretty sure, if I had to guess, I think a lot of these flowers and stuff and bushes were in Planet Zoo. And I made the Chevron logo. That actually was not intended. I'll fix it next episode. One feature that Planet Zoo has that this game does not is the long grass feature. Because like in this game, you can do like paint, you can like paint the terrain, and the long grass option when painting the terrain looks terrible. But in Planet Zoo, it looks so good, and if we got that feature in this game, it would make fields look so much more realistic and stuff. But anyways, here I am starting on the bathrooms, once again heavily inspired by Cedar Point, as they are the first thing to the left after you go through the metal detectors and stuff, just like Cedar Point. I don't even know why I put an actual like bathroom facility in here because this park is not going to work with guests. But I mean, I guess it looks pretty decent. Building the walls for this building were for some reason extremely finicky. Nothing would really fit right, and then I ended up kind of redoing the whole thing after I attempted to smooth out this wall, because as you can see, there is a lot of imperfections. And stuff like this actually happens to me quite a bit. I changed the time of day so I could see the imperfections better and try to correct them, but nothing really worked out. Unrelated to all that, but I missed the Planet Coaster 1 feature of being able to change the time of day by minutes instead of only by hours. Hopefully that gets implemented back in eventually. Definitely not like a high priority, but like still would be nice. Anyways, here I am struggling to make a roof, which I believe I do not use this design at all in the final product. But hey, this is kind of like my first building in this game, kinda. I mean, I've done some coaster stations and I did um, the like parking toll booths, but those aren't really conventional buildings. So yeah, this is kind of a learning experience for me. Oh, I actually did stick to this roof design. It's been like a week since I recorded this, like for me doing the voiceover here, so I kind of didn't remember that. Just got some little details for the bathroom, and I'm pretty sure that's that building done. Maybe I'll go back through this like later on and add an interior and stuff. Not quite sure about that though. Here I struggle with trying to fit 3 benches because you cannot scale them. I ended up just leaving it with 2. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I know it'll never happen, but it would be so cool if we could scale like basically everything. Like if we could scale roller coasters, that would be so cool. Because like some trains and tracks are a lot bigger than they are in real life, like the Vekoma LIM. So it would be pretty cool if we could just like scale it, make it realistically sized, and it would just like open up quite a few opportunities for making other stuff. And this is me struggling with the because I made the paths like different heights and stuff. So this is me struggling trying to make it all work. I get there in the end though. And this building that I started on is like the ticket sales and like I think that these buildings serve quite a few purposes. Maybe like what's it called? Like renting wheelchairs and stuff like that. Or maybe I'll like make a different building for that stuff. I know I'm gonna have a like guest services building. I'm pretty sure those are actually inside the parks though. So I'll definitely have one of those. I'm kind of struggling to figure out what these buildings are actually used for though, besides like ticket sales. I think that you can get like your pass member benefits here and stuff like that. So yeah, just whatever these buildings are called and what they do. That's what this is. Just making the little ticket windows here as you can see. Simple details, but I think it works out pretty well. Also, whenever you see those guest statues, I use those as reference to figure out like the scale for everything to properly scale it. Once again, those are pretty awesome new pieces. You can even like attach them to coaster trains and use them as clearance envelopes and stuff. And now for the last little detail of this video, a little queue line for the ticket sales or whatever this is called. As you can see, I do not put any interior into this building. I'll save that for a later episode. These resort balcony fence pillar things are like perfect for these kind of metal default looking queue line fences, and probably for quite a few other things. Once again, just another one of these great new pieces in this game. But anyways, that is about it for this time lapse. Now moving on to the showcase portion of the video. So here we are. This is basically everything I did in this episode. It's finally starting to not look just like a Walmart parking lot. We're starting to get some nice details in here. We got the security checks. I have two of these. I have these ones right here, then I have a smaller one over there that's more accessible from the accessibility area. If we go back over here, we have a bus stop, and if I do ever eventually want to get this entire park to work with guests, these are actually guest spawners, so that's how that will work. But yeah, I also put buses in the bus parking lot over here. Small little details. Maybe I'll add a second bit of bus parking like over here somewhere, I don't know. But for now, I am done working on this area. I need to get started on the actual park. But anyways, back to the actual entrance plaza of the park. We have the little exit gates that would only be able to be pushed out when you're inside there. It's my first time ever doing a security check area. Actually, it's my first time really doing any of this. So I think I did pretty well. Here we have the bathrooms before you actually even enter the park. Here you have the ticket sales. Not too many details in here yet, just a blank, empty interior of the building there. And then this is the queue line that you'd wait in, then they'd call out which number you need to go to, and then you're just hey, I'm blah blah blah, getting a season pass, whatever. And the last thing I did this episode was, of course, the actual entrance sign. It's very simple, but I think it gets the job done pretty well. Kind of inspired by Cedar Point's little setup. And this does look like a Chevron logo in the flowers here. I will change that. In the next video, I'm going to maybe kind of start the actual entry building, because this is not going to be a conventional entrance at all. Maybe just start the first little bit of the entrance, and then hopefully get some of the main street done. But I'm just glad to have the parking lot and everything over with. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.